Ladies and gentlemen, we have mayhem in the National Football League. The Bears are no longer on the clock. The Carolina Panthers are on the clock. They just traded the number 9 overall pick, the number 62 overall pick, their 2024 first and second round picks, as well as wide receiver 1 DJ Moore to the Bears, all for that number 1 pick. I'm Ben Jack, joined by Will Kwiatkowski and Jack Kemmler. Guys, I just need first impressions. Just, is this what you were expecting? Were the Panthers the first suitor you thought of when the Bears were shopping around that first overall pick?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Panthers were definitely an option. I think it kind of made more sense. You know, the Bears want to get a lot of value, and they got a lot of value. I mean, they got an extreme amount of value. I actually really like where they're sitting at number 9. You know, we went over this in the episode before, but also throwing on, a second round pick in this draft, a first round pick and a second round pick next year, and DJ Moore, who I love. I think he's a great wide receiver. I think it's an amazing trade for the Bears. Panthers, obviously a little bit of an overpay, but we'll see.
Jack?
Yeah, no, I expected the Colts or the Texans to trade with the Bears. They were so close they wouldn't have to give up that much, and they need their franchise QB. This was a crazy trade by the Panthers. I mean, it makes a lot of sense why they did it. The overpay, I get it. It makes sense. They want their franchise QB. They just got Frank Reich, new head coach. They played a pretty decent year last year, so we'll see how Carolina does.
And guys, there's so many things that we need to unpack with this trade going down just minutes ago. First thing we have to talk about is the number 1 pick is in a different team's hands. The Carolina is at number 1. We've heard rumors about who they might take. We could talk about who they should take, but honestly, let's talk about who they will take and who we think they're going to take. There were rumors about CJ Stroud, rumors about Anthony Richardson that they liked and maybe would trade up for. Now they're at the number 1 pick. They could take whoever they want. So, Will, just give us real quick who you think they should take, but also who you think they eventually will take on draft night.
Yeah, no, I think, Anthony Richardson has been the rumor going around that the Carolina Panthers would trade up and get Anthony Richardson, that they were big on him. But, to me, just you have to kind of look at, the coaching staff, the team, the surrounding cast. And, Frank Reich is a guy who, I hate to say it, he likes guys who sit in the pocket. He doesn't like, he's not a big fan of the exciting quarterback. As a Colts, he recruited Philip Rivers. He recruited Carson Wentz. I mean, he wanted those pocket passers who can control, the game like that. So I really do think that CJ Stroud's going to be the pick they go with. I wouldn't be surprised if they did go with Richardson, as they have already shown interest in him. But I think CJ Stroud's going to be the guy they're going to go with at 1.
Jack?
I think Will said everything I was going to say. It's just Frank Reich loves a tall QB. I was watching ESPN about 10 minutes before this. That's what they were talking about. He's only gone through tall QBs, and CJ Stroud, that's your answer, or Anthony Richardson. But I believe if they want Anthony Richardson at the 9 spot, now they trade up. They want a secure pick. A way more secure pick is CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think Stroud is the pick here. I can't say that I love it because there are not many weapons left in Carolina now. I mean, it's DJ Moore, and he's gone now. So who are we left with? Terrace Marshall Jr.? Like, what is CJ Stroud going to have to work with in Carolina? Who I think they should pick, obviously Bryce Young. Our quarterback episode, I was actually in the middle of editing, and then this news comes out. The Bears and the Panthers just barrage us with this news. So we're just going to get this episode out right now, which is what we're doing. But, I would take Bryce Young at number 1. But, guys, another really fun possibility. We talked about him in the episode that's coming out soon, like I mentioned. Anthony Richardson, the quarterback out of Florida. Some of his comps have been prime Cam Newton. Now he has a chance to go to Cam Newton's first team, the Carolina Panthers. So what would you think about, or what would your impression be if Richardson went number 1 to the Panthers? Will?
It would actually be really cool to think about. There's been so much going through my head. I haven't gotten to that thought yet of, this guy could be Cam Newton and he could play for the same team. I think it would be awesome. I think it would be probably one of the best things. I mean, watching Cam Newton play in 2015 it was amazing. Every time he stepped on the field, it was so amazing to watch. And I mean, I would love to see it again.
Jack?
What I think about is strategically, the Panthers last year was a running offense. Even after they traded McCaffrey, they were one of the best running teams in the whole league. I remember when they versed the Lions, they had like 200 first half rushing yards. It was the craziest thing ever. For some reason, without McCaffrey, they were running better. So you had Anthony Richardson in that running offense. he's going to add a lot of points if he runs like he does, especially with that run-heavy offense. And we've seen Frank Reich, not last year, but before years, be a great heavy run offensive coach.
Yeah, so many opportunities for the Panthers. And hey, what if they just go Jalen Carter because they have that much faith in Sam Darnold? Who knows? You know? It's the National Football League. You never know what's going to happen. We got this madness going on right now. There's March Madness about to happen. So crazy things can happen. But no, I'm sure quarterback is going to be the move. And they have so many options with that quarterback position in mind. And another quarterback we should keep in mind with this trade happening is Justin Fields. So, guys, what does this trade mean for Justin Fields? They have loaded up on picks for the future as well as in the draft in just a few weeks. So, and also he's got DJ Moore now as wide receiver 1. So what does this mean for Justin Fields and that Bears offense? Well,
this is a dream. This is a dream for Bears fans. This is what you want. You get your chance at your guy at 9. And I mentioned it before. I really, really do like the spot. You can get the best receiver in the class. You can get the best offensive lineman in the class. You can get a very, very, very good defensive player. You can get the best. I mean, it'd be a reach to do it. It would be a reach to do it. But you can get the best tight end. You can get the best of a lot of things, except you're missing on the tight end. You're missing on the quarterback crowd, which they obviously are not intending to go after. They have a lot of options. I think that for Justin Fields, this is awesome. I think the Bears at 9 are going to go and try to get some protection for him. And I think, him and DJ Moore are going to be something special. I mean, DJ Moore, not a very special, very super talented wide receiver, but the guy finds himself open. I think him and Fields are going to work out very well. So, I mean, I'm very excited to see what happens, but I think Justin Fields this is just going to help Justin Fields take that next step.
Yeah, well, you say he's not a very special receiver, but hey, he's a receiver, which isn't what Justin Fields is used to so far in Chicago. So that could make a world of a difference for the young quarterback. Jack?
I would kind of look at this, in slightly more negative ways that this might be make or break for Justin Fields. I mean, they had that 9th pick. They could get Skoronski or Johnson. They now finally have a wide receiver. They have the most cap space in the whole NFL. That 2nd-round pick could grab another weapon. So this might be make or break for Justin Fields, especially next year's QB class like Williams, May, Travis, all those players that they could trade up with all these picks they just got for the next year. So this is really make or break for Justin Fields because there's a lot of question marks in his passing. They got him a weapon. They're probably going to hunker down on the protection, sign some players, and see how he does.
Jack, that is the exact point I was just about to make. And this is very good for Justin Fields because this is finally time for him to prove, hey, this is what I can do when you give me just a confident offense, an offense that I could do something with. But also, if he doesn't do something with this offense, it could be all downhill and he could be off this team, really. And also, the other thing you got to look at is all these picks that the Bears are loading up on. They're going to have their own 1st and 2nd round picks. They're going to have the Panthers 1st and 2nd round picks. And I know they're going to finally get a quarterback, but let's be real, that quarterback probably won't take them to the promised land anytime soon. So they're still probably going to be a pretty bad team. Those are some very, very solid picks, some very good draft capital they have for next year. What if they tell Justin Fields, like, hey, this is your time to shine. Look at this offense. We're really building around you. You got Chase Claypool, is a solid number 2 receiver, But now you got DJ Moore. You're going to have options. Maybe we get you an O-lineman in the draft, maybe another receiver. But if it doesn't pan out, we have all these picks. We might just load up and go after one of the top quarterbacks in next year because it is much better. It's much more talented. Caleb Williams, Drake May, just to name a couple. Michael Penix Jr. Like, those are some guys that they could just be saying, hey, these guys, their future is so bright, and we could easily use this draft capital to get one of them. So you better make it work or else you're off that team. Well,
yeah, I mean that is a way to look at it. I mean, I said it earlier. There's been so much going on in the past 10, 20 minutes that my head's been spiraling, trying to get a grasp at this. I haven't even gotten to think of the negatives for Justin Fields, but a great point for sure. Like, what they're building in the Bears team right now offensively, they're actually stepping away from this super run offense where we all kind of expect, like we saw last year, and we expect them to maybe, keep on building that offensive line. And yes, they probably will add an offensive line, but now they get DJ Moore, and you start to look at it, and it's actually a pretty dynamic wide receiver group that they have with DJ Moore leading it. DJ Moore, to me, is a guy who could really do it all. he makes these amazing plays. He's kind of like Terry McLaurin in a way, not to the fullest, but he does play the game like similar. They have Chase Claypool now, who's probably going to be the wide receiver too. Very, very tall receiver, one of the taller ones in the league. And now, and as a third, they have Quemus St. Brown, I believe that's how you pronounce it. But those three as a group, they come together to make a really good offense. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things that are bad, and they're making the spotlight on the passing game now. So I mean, it is make or break for Justin Fields.
And guys, another thing I want to bring up is just the rest of those top 10 picks. You got the Texans at 2, who it looked like if the Colts got that number 1 pick that they would be taking Bryce Young. Now it's looking like C.J. Stroud, maybe Anthony Richardson might go 1. So the Texans could possibly get Bryce Young at 2. And now you look at the Colts as well. What will the Colts do? So I just want to throw that out there. So Will, I'll go to you first about the Colts. What are you expecting your team to do in the draft now that the first pick has already been traded?
Oh yeah, well definitely very, very happy actually. A lot of people are, very upset, have, not upset, but are starting to like lose it in the Colts organization. The Colts medias have been going crazy and saying, we need to trade up, which I do truly believe that the Arizona Cardinals spot, we should trade up 100% to secure that we get the top 3 quarterback. To me, this is really good because, personally, not a big Bryce Young fan, we could deal with that later. But for them to be able to trade up to 3 and still get, a guy like Richardson, Stroud, or Young is amazing. Only to move up 1 spot. I'd much rather get, Richardson 3, CJ Stroud 3, than have to go and get one of those guys at 1 and give up a lot more. So to me, this is kind of a very like a gift in disguise for the Colts, because they give up a lot less for a quarterback. And I mean, I think they're gonna make the right decision in move up to the 3 spot, because I do believe if they don't, Arizona's definitely gonna trade back. They don't need a quarterback. They want to get Jalen Carter. They want to get Will Anderson. So they're gonna trade back and try to get them in like the 4 or 5 pick. So 100% need to trade up and go grab a quarterback.
Yeah, this is very scary for the Colts after this trade, because I believe they were the most suitable team to trade for that first pick. So now you look at that Cardinals pick with the 3 pick was the last chance anybody could get a QB, one of the top 4 QBs. So you look at who you look at the Falcons, like the Commanders, maybe even if the Lions want to start some lightning in this draft. You never know what's going to happen in this draft. So that 3 pick with the Cardinals is the most impactful pick in a while. Like, it is a huge draft pick right now, because if somebody jumps ahead for the Colts, Will could sadly be ending up with Will Levis. That's not the greatest thing. So we'll see what happens with that 3 pick. It's very impactful.
Guys, something else I want to bring up is we always talked about, like, hey, at 3, the Cardinals, they're definitely going to take a defensive guy, and the Colts are going to trade up to 1, and the Bears will be at 4, so that's where the second defensive guy will go. But what happens to those defensive superstars? Let's say the Falcons trade up and swoop into 3. The Colts remain adamant at 4. Where do those superstars go? Do they fall? Does one of them fall out of the top 5? Do the Bears still have a chance at getting Jalen Carter or Will Anderson at number 9? I just want to know what you guys think happens to that defensive superstar duo.
Oh, you see it coming together, don't you? You see the things coming together. Jalen Carter, he gets in an out of field or off the field incident, right away. There was not much going on. There's not a lot of talk of, oh, is he going to move down the draft? And now you see things start to happen. And hey, say the Falcons trade up and they take the 3 spot, and then the Colts go with Will Levis at 4, and at 5, I totally I don't remember who's 5 right now. There's so much going on, but it could happen where Carter could fall all the way to the Bears, and it sounds crazy, but there's a lot of guys, to be picked. There's a lot of guys, a lot of needs, and I truly think there's a good chance that Anderson or Carter goes at 9.
And yeah, it is the Seahawks at number 5. I'm not sure if that means too much, but Jack, I'll throw it to you next.
Before I answer your question, what I was last saying, I totally forgot. Las Vegas is at the 7th pick. That is probably the most suitable trade for the 3rd pick, and that is something very scary for the Colts if they jump ahead because, I mean, we've heard reports that the Vegas wants Will Levis, so they might stay at 7. Just let it drop to him. But maybe they don't want to risk something like that. They want their QB and go up and get him. So, but what you were saying is I don't see Jalen Carter or Will Anderson dropping to the Bears because I think Detroit, Seattle, they're going to draft a defensive player, maybe even Atlanta. So I just don't see them dropping that far. It's just way too much of talent going to the 9 pick.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, just want to sneak in real quick. I do have a question. It's a little out of the world sometimes. Some people might think it's not going to happen, but say the Colts do stick with 4 and the Falcons, the Raiders, someone trades up, the Lions, they trade and take the 3 pick. Is there in any world a place where the Colts don't take a quarterback?
Yeah, I think they just remain steadfast and say, hey, we're going to suck again and draft a superstar in next year's draft. Well, I'm sorry. I don't see them being good whatsoever. I know you're our Colts fan. I'm just going to be straight up with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't see a world where they're a very, very good team next year. They could take a quarterback, maybe add a couple wins here and there. But if they don't get one of those top 3 guys, in my opinion, if they don't get the top 2 of Stroud and Young, and if they don't get the high flyer, big risk, big reward guy in Anthony Richardson, I don't think it's worth it. I think you take a superstar like Carter, like Anderson, even an offensive piece if you want to. I wouldn't recommend it, but if they really want to, you could do that. And you just wait. You remain patient, and you go into the 2024 draft with quarterback and quarterback only in mind.
Yeah, I believe that, what the Colts will do if that would happen, they have to play the cards they got dealt. They have to draft Carter or Anderson, and then they could parlay him with a next year first-round pick that could be Williams, May, Penix. I know Will loves Penix. Even Jordan Travis, if he wins the Heisman, like anybody in that top 10, you're going to get a good QB next year. Like it's way better than these top 4 QBs. So I believe you got to play the cards you were dealt, and it's going to be the worst thing that could happen. Like that is honestly the worst thing in the world that could have happened to the Colts. Now it's looking like a pretty medium chance it's going to happen. So you got to do what you have to do.
Yeah, and the Colts are 100%, in a bad position right now. But I really do think, the Colts as an organization, they're not looking at, what needs we need filled. They're actually an organization that drafts by who's the best player that we can get that, is going to impact our team the most. We see many, many different times where the Colts are actually drafting guys where there's already a position in front of him. A big example that sticks out to me is when they drafted Jonathan Taylor couple of years back. I mean, Marlon Mack was the guy in the backfield. He was looking like he could be the running back for the years to come, looking solid. And they get Jonathan Taylor with their only pick they had. They got him in the 2nd round very early. They didn't have a first rounder. They traded that for DeForest Buckner. But besides that, they went and got Jonathan Taylor. I was like, why would you get a running back when you have a lot more positional needs? Guy turns out to be a very, very, very good running back. So, it wouldn't shock me, say, the 4th pick comes and Will Levis is the only guy on the board. The Colts are looking at we got a guy like Jalen Carter who could, change the game defensively, or Will Levis who's just really going to be a quarterback to slot in. I wouldn't be surprised if they took Jalen Carter, and I wouldn't be upset because, the pressure, the Colts rank in the 30th percentile, the 30th team in the league in pressure off the edge and, up the middle. I mean, DeForest Buckner had an okay season. Grover Stewart stepped up, had a better season. Besides that, I mean, Yannick Ngakoue stepping out for free agency. On the other side, there's not even a set guy. So to get a guy like Will Anderson to really bring pressure would really, really excel a Colts defense that's, to me, could be top 5. I mean, they have the corners. The safeties aren't great. If they bring back Bobby Okereke to keep on locking up that linebacker, Darius Leonard is going to be the linebacker. So, yeah, I do think that, they get Will Anderson at 4 or something like that, or trade back or something. But I don't think Will Levis would even be a consideration for the Colts.
Yeah, there are so many things that we could talk about forever here. I mean, it affects the Bears, the Panthers, the Texans, the Colts. Almost every single top 10 team has just had a wrench thrown in their road. But that was just our heat of the moment analysis of what just went down. Once again, the Bears trading back to 9. The Panthers are on the clock. Draft night is coming sooner than you expected. It's already holding its ramifications and consequences on the league. But for Will Kwiatkowski and Jack Kemmler, I've been Ben Chowder. Thanks for watching.